Hello, friends, ANCAPs, libertarians, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Voluntarist Views Network. My name is the Mr. ANCAP, and this is my show, The State Sucks. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's blunt, that's direct, that's honest, and that's three things the state will never give to you. Yes, welcome. So, just a bit of a thing about my show and the network. Well, the network was started by Michael Shanklin, a way to get voluntarist views out there, centered primarily foundationally around the non-aggression principle, the idea that I shall not initiate force against my fellow human being. Now, my show in particular is going to be focused on, some of the bullshit the state does, some of the suckiness of the state, and how it affects your lives, it affects my lives, it affects people in the past, the future, whatever. And so, yeah, well, today's episode is going to be one on something that's not traditionally a big deal topic. It's certainly one in ANCAP circles, but it's not one that gets a lot of usage. It gets a lot of talk about, and that is going to be on immigration. That's right. The idea behind immigration is both bullshit in and of itself, but it's also sucky how your government handles it, and we're going to get into that. So to start off with bullshit immigration, now immigration as we know it today is a fairly modern concept, right? It wasn't this idea that we need to get passports that have our pictures and all this stuff on it to go from point A to point B. All of that is relatively new, and it was started in 1914, and it was started by the English government. Now, before then, travel was primarily simple, right? You went from here to there. No real difference between going between towns, between counties, between states, for example, in the United States. I mean, travel was much less regulated. Now, historically, there has been some regulation put on it, not necessarily with passports, but the idea that people needed to be monitored, trade and travel needed to be controlled, and this was primarily in times of war. And this certainly does have some bearing in common sense. After all, you don't just want random people walking into your town when you're at war. I mean, imagine the consequences of, the enemy sneaking in and, killing you all. But strictly speaking, outside of the various privateers throughout history, there wasn't this idea of needing to control where people go. Now, of course, as the state is wont to do, it decided that, hold on a moment, we could control people, we could see who's going where all the time. We should totally do that. Yes, with the state, it's not so much about what bad ideas they have they can't do, it's what they think they can get away with. And in 1914, I suppose they all decided, you know what, these passport things are a pretty damn solid idea. Now, of course, passports have grown over time. They've changed slightly, but the general concept comes from there. Now, why is this concept bullshit? Well, it's bullshit for the same reasons you don't need a passport to go a town over, to go visit your buddy next door, to go across your county lines. Right? It's bullshit because they're just invisible lines. Right? There's only two types of travel, right? There's travel through land you own and travel through land you do not own. Now, the state, in its infinite nonsensicalness, has decided that it owns everything within some arbitrary line wherein they can use force to control. Because that's all state borders are. I mean, if the U.S. government thought it could kill the rest of the world and rule over it, we'd be at war with every one of them right the fuck now. So no, it's just these are the places we have carved out for ourselves. This is our tax farm. And we call dibs. Okay, we have put the flag down. All right, now as such, sorry about that. Now as such, we have people who are being controlled, people who are being herded, people treated very much like cattle. You can see this primarily, in the United States. We have Canada up top and Mexico below. Travel is very well regulated. Now, well regulated by the state terms. Any one of us would look at it and just laugh hysterically. Now, why does the state put up these imaginary lines? What is the bullshit reason the state uses to try to keep some people out, let some people in, know who's in, who's out, and all of that? Well, it's because of control. Right? And control leads to power. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, one of the primary reasons the state wants to control travel, to control people, is because it wants to know who it's going to bribe. Now, generally, states go about a few different ways. You do have your monarchies, you have your democracies, you have your dictatorships, etc. But the end-all, be-all for the politicians in power is we need to know how many people in here are on Team Us, people we can extort, people we can control, people who will give us validity. And we need to know how many people are dissenters, people who have different opinions, people from different backgrounds. And that's the primary goal. Now, in a democracy, this is even more so, as we have multiple politicians trying to extort votes from multiple different people. For example, the Democrats will want to know how many Hispanics are coming into town. The Republicans will want to know how many gun owners are coming into town. You know, politicians have set people up to know which groups to bribe and which groups to oppress in order to maintain power. So that's one reason why the state does such a big thing with immigration. Another thing is that it offers an untold level of control, not only to allow certain people in, but to allow certain other people not to leave. Now, we've all watched the crime shows. We've all watched the spy shows. Once the U.S. government is coming after you, your passport's useless. You cannot get on a plane to fly out or anything like that. This is all about that situation of control. Now, before, when people were in unjust governments and unjust societies, they went off into the night, and that's where it was. If the state wanted them, they'd have to come find them across the fucking world. So you'd have to do a pretty egregious offense, not smoke a joint, in order for the government to haul after your ass. But now it's as simple as not allowing you to go anywhere and just wait for your lack of resources and mobility to run you down itself. Now, this type of control is never sold as anything other than security. You know, we need to know who's coming in and out. We need to know the values they hold, blah, 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 in order for us to protect you, right? Because people, average Joe individual citizens, are too stupid to protect themselves. These are sheep, and they need a shepherd. Of course, somehow they're magically smart enough to choose who will hold the societal gun, who will use the force of legality, which is odd. Right? I mean, we all make this disconnect. I'm not smart enough to defend myself, but I'm smart enough to choose someone to trust my life to. Right? It's ridiculousness. This is silliness. It's like saying you're smart enough to drive a car, but you're not smart enough to be allowed to ride a bike. It's just like, what the fuck? So yes, that's how it's sold to people. That's never how it's used. Much like how the Social Security was used as a sort of selling point as to trick people that the banks can't be trusted, but you can trust the government to hold on to your money. And of course, they took it, they spent it, and now it's the young paying for the old. See, the government is great at selling something that is going to bite you in the ass. As Nancy Pelosi once said, we need to pass the bill to find out what's in the bill. So these people are not, they aren't smart, right? They're not expecting you to be very smart either. They just want to tell you something flat out that's a lie and hope you commit to it. Now, in terms of immigration, some people will say, you know, we need it. We need to keep those people out. And it's very interesting they say those people. No one ever says, I've never once heard anyone argue that, you know, we need to keep people from going from town to town because that will help prosperity. You never hear that. You know why? Because if you limit the mobility of trade between towns, between counties, between states, your economy will you'll fucking nosedive. It'll go downtown. Why is this any different on the macro scale? And that's something that's always annoyed me about people who want to talk about macroeconomics. Right? They say, oh, just because something works on the small scale doesn't mean it will work on the large scale. And that's very true. But if it does work on the small scale, then you should at least attempt to allow it to work on the large scale. But too often, what do we get? We get people who disregard stuff that works on the micro level and say, no, 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 we need a whole new set of rules for macro. Nothing on the micro can ever work. Blah, blah, blah. You know, you get these Paul Krugmans who say war is profitable, but if I go burn someone's fucking house down, he's not going to say, hey, that was good for the economy. No, it's complete madness with these statists and nationalists, right? So what is this? What is the sucky part of the immigration, right? That's the big crux of this. So let's assume the bullshit of immigration is having some standard in validity. Well, the sucky thing about it is, as with most aspects of government, is that the state is terrible at enforcing it. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, there's two things you have to know when you're an immigrant coming into the United States. Number one, you have to actually get into the United States. You have to be able to be let in. They have to be, hey, you're allowed to come in, versus all the other people, they don't. And after you come in, after a short time, if you want to stay, you have to pass a test, a rigorous, intellectual, moral, philosophical test that will ascertain whether you can work with the other people, right? That's the setup. Now, of course, it doesn't work that way. First of all, let's look at just trying to get in the door, right? So let's say you're from Mexico and you have all the right paperwork. Well, you get lost in a minutia of bureaucracy, the likes of which you will likely never escape. Now, does this stop people from coming in? Absolutely, dead stop. But does it stop bad people? Not necessarily. So long as you know how to play the game of bureaucracy, good people, bad people are going to be let in. All right, it's much like when you send the police to fucking investigate someone for mental illness. They aren't equipped to assess this shit, and neither are your fucking border patrol. Unless you're being so blatant as to smuggle a fucking pound of marijuana in the front seat of your car, you have a very real likelihood of slipping right on in. Now, granted, a lot of people won't. It's like a fucking brick wall, but there are holes in it to where water can come in. Whether that water is clear or whether that water is polluted is notwithstanding. Now, this is the only part of the immigration debate where I hear a lot of people give me some agreement, right? Even statists will be like, yes, bureaucracy sucks, we all know that, but they do the best they can. But fine, bureaucracy sucks. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have immigration. I mean, we don't want just anyone living here forever. Now, I find this to be a big hypocritical thing, not only for states in general, but especially the United States. I do not know of anyone who's ever lived here, be they European, be they Spanish, be they fucking American Indian, who didn't come here from some other fucking place, right? Be they come from a ship or a fucking ice bridge. We are a nation of immigrants, right? This whole little carved out fucking statist capital of the universe is full of immigrants, right? So this idea that we need to protect ourselves from immigration is ludicrous. It is hilarious. It is hypocritical, certainly, to an extent. So what is the test, right? So this litmus test, right? Well, the state has a series of 100 questions they want to ask an immigrant who wants to live here, who wants to take the test to be on Team USA. Right, now I know what you're thinking. Hey, that sounds good. I mean, sure, the state sucks, but 100 questions, some of those have to reveal whether someone's good or bad, right? Well, out of those 100 questions, 10 are randomly selected to be given. Now, if you're really nice, you're going to be thinking, well, I mean, if they're the right 10, you know, if they're a good, solid 10, you know, it should still weed out whether or not somebody is good versus bad. Well, the last nail in that fucking thought process is the fact that someone who wants to gain citizenship merely has to answer 6 out of the 10 correctly, meaning they got to get a D fucking plus on their homework assignment to be allowed to stay. Now, why is this stupid? Well, again, to preface, I hate immigration. I hate the state. I hate all that. People should be able to travel freely, right? If people are violent, they will be dealt with. If they're not violent, they just want to fucking do work, who the fuck's got a problem with them? Right, but the state perpetuates the notion that it is our perpetual parent, that the United States is our home, right, and we are stupid children who will die in the streets. Okay, there won't be streets because you need the state to have streets, but you will die in the dirt without the perpetual parent of the state hovering above. And as such, all these questions are simply is an interview to people to see if they're okay with living at the house with the children, right? So these must be some serious hardcore questions. Now, the first problem that comes up with the 6 out of 10 thing is, what if those other 4 are some pretty serious wrong answers, right? Let's say, you know, do you think it's okay to murder? Yes. Rape? Yes. Assault? Yes. Steal? Yes. These are some pretty fucking bad wrong 4 answers. I can't even imagine 6 that will overshadow them. Right, but let's give our parent the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, they are definitely looking out for us. They're looking out for us, the individual. So you know what? I've decided to put them to the test with you, the audience, as the observer, as the judge. I have created a list of 10 questions I would ask someone before I allowed them to live in my house with me, let alone living with my wife, my son, my daughter, the redheaded fucking kid who won't get the fuck out. Right? So I've come up with 10 questions I think would narrow down whether someone's moral, intellectual, philosophical leanings meshed with my own. Now, I'm sure the state, who's had many years of practice with this, who's been around since the dawn of fucking eternity in the minds of some statists, to guide us, to lead us, to protect us, has a better or equal to test compared to mine. So let's do this together. So I'm going to take 10 questions from the U.S. government list. Right? Now, these are 10 questions that will determine whether or not someone is capable of living here in the U.S. with the rest of us. Right? Now, I'm not going to say these questions are at random because I don't got a fucking algorithm that's going to randomly select them. But you know what I do have? I do have the ability to take one question from each of the 9 sections. Now, of course, I said 10, so I'll take another question from one of the sections. But I'm going to take one question just to get a broad sense. Right? We're going to touch on each one of the categories, and we're going to see if most, some, or none hold any validity in deciding whether or not someone should live with us. So let's begin. Now, my first question, my very first question right out the fucking gate is, are you a statist? And I think you will all agree this is a rather valid question. I mean, I'm going to find out where their viewpoints are on needing a gun to coerce society, right? The idea that we can't get along voluntarily, that we can't pull off some voluntarist views, be a little non-aggressionist, right? And work this out. Now, what would be my accepted answers? Well, I would hope their answer would be no. That would be my favorite. No, I'm not a fucking statist, right? But we live in a world where that's pretty much as likely as getting struck by lightning twice in a 1-second interval, right? We're pretty damn rare, sandcaps. So, okay, so I will accept libertarian, right? Minarchist, you know, someone who says, you know, I support the state because I think we need them to do laws in the military, right? That's the typical minarchist thing. So I might accept that because it means 6 months from now I'm going to get them on the ANCAP train, because that's all it is. Difference between minarchist and anarchist, 6 months. Now, if they seem to favor the right side of the political spectrum, I'm going to put a question mark. I'm going to be like, let's see where the rest of the test goes, because maybe it means I can break them of that shit too. Because there's a reason libertarianism, ANCAPs, etc., gravitate more towards the right of the political spectrum, right? We're not so collectivist as thinking that we need a gun to, you know, control society. And by the way, this whole conservative versus liberal thing is pretty damn hilarious. Me and Michael Shanklin talked about this. All of us ANCAPs would be essentially classical liberals, right? I mean, in a different time, we would be on the liberal side of this issue. But tragically today, as with the state, it pollutes everything. Now, if I ask this statist question, you know, are you a statist? And they said, oh yes, I voted for Obama and I support liberalism and political correctness, I would throw that motherfucker out as fast as humanly fucking possible. Okay, I'm not going to have that level of stupid, that level of maliciousness pollute the very air of my sanctum sanctorum. Much less if I have a wife, 2 kids, and a redheaded fucking child that won't go the fuck home. Right, so that's my first question. Now you guys let me know. You know, let me know what you think. Do you think that's a good question, or do you think that's a shitty question? Right, but let's look at one of the first questions that may be asked by our imaginary god of the state. Right? Okay. Question 1. How many amendments does the Constitution have? Wow, really out the gate swinging, aren't we, statism? So, can any of you tell me how many amendments the Constitution has off the top of your head? Probably fucking not. It is so irrelevant to your continued existence, so irrelevant to your voluntary interactions with your fellow man, that there is no fucking reason to expect someone to know it. It's like asking me what color shoes I was wearing yesterday. I don't give a fuck. What the fuck does it matter? Right? But no, 27 amendments. Now, arguably, the only ones you really should know, you should be expected to know, if for no other reason than bare survival instinct, is what is a Bill of Rights? What are your first 10 amendments? Because those offer you some modicum of legal protection against the behemoth that is the state, unless it, of course, decides that those rights are more like privileges and ignores your shit anyway. But yeah, so right out the gate, how many amendments are there? How many fingers am I holding up behind my head? This is how the state wishes to protect us from atrocitous individuals who have wormed their way into the home, quote unquote, of the state. That's fucking fascinating. Now, my second question I would ask, now this is round 2, this is assuming they've made it through the fucking first question, is, have you heard of the non-aggression principle? Now, this is very important, right? If they say no, it gives me a chance to educate them. You know, explain to them, you know, it's a simple bare bones, don't fucking initiate force against me. You know, don't start none, won't fucking be none, right? Don't steal from me, don't assault me, don't attempt to murder me, and I will in turn not steal from you, not assault you, not attempt to murder you. Right? So this is very simple. Now, if they say, you know, yes, they've heard about it, awesome. If they say no, could you explain it? Awesome. If they say, yes, I've heard about it, but I think it's just tomfoolery, out the fucking house. Get the fuck out of my house. I'm not letting you fucking around my youngins, because apparently fucking non-aggression don't mean dick all to you. So fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, and you better hope to God I don't treat you the way you wish you could treat me. Right, so that's my second question, right? You know, non-aggression principle, the little moral leanings of our society. So let's look at the state's second question. Right, now this is very important. Okay, let's look for a second one. Let's go to the next section. Okay. Oh, okay, I love this one. I love this one. Second question. We elect a U.S. Senator for how many years? This is fucking beautiful, isn't it? This is fucking beautiful. Now, you might have an argument, right? You might have an argument for this bullshit if we lived in a world without fucking media coverage, right? Without this age of information where every time a fucking senator wants to get reelected, they remind every single fucking one of us. I mean, it's almost as stupid as asking, you know, what month does the president get elected? Everyone knows this. No one shuts the fuck up about it, right? But can you guys tell me that? Can you guys tell me that how many years a senator gets elected, right? Right? 27 amendments to the Constitution, that's fucking need-to-know information, but not as bad as knowing when a fucking senator needs to fucking extort people in order to stay in office collecting money robbed from other poor bastards, right? So that is their thing. So you need to know that a senator gets 6 years in office in order to fucking be allowed to play with the other children, right? It's fucking ridiculous, right? It's like saying, you know, how many years do I have to work at this place till I get a raise or some other inconsequential fucking detail, right? If I fucking get a raise, I'm telling fucking everybody, right? But okay. So here is my third question, right? This is 3 questions. So first question, are you a statist? Second question, have you heard of the NAP? The next question is, are you a feminist? That's right. Oh, feminism. Man, I'm like, now why do I hate feminism? Well, it's female supremacy, 100%. And I'm not a huge fan of supremacist mindsets. Right, so this is a pretty cut forward straight no. If the answer is yes, get the fuck out of my house. Get the fuck out of my house. You might as well walk up to me and say you're a fucking racist, right? To pull this shit off. And I'm not talking fucking biological differences between the races, right? That's just facts. I'm talking just straight up social. One group gets on the back of the bus while the other one gets to lavish and comfort. Get the fuck out with your supremacist bullshit. But if the answer is no, then I'll be like, abso-fucking, okay, we're getting somewhere. You're 3 for fucking 3. Yeah, I don't do this 6 strikes, 6 strikes, you get to stay in fucking policy. You get fucking one of these questions too wrong, you're getting the fuck out. There's no, oh, you missed the first 4, stick around, we're going to see where this goes. Now, bullshit with that nonsense. Right, so, okay, so that's my third question. So what have you figured out about me so far? Well, I'm feeling them out for similarities in philosophical and moral beliefs. I'm trying to understand, how similar we are and what areas where we may be dissimilar could be open to some dialogue. I'm also working out if these are crazy motherfuckers who don't need to be in my house. Right? Okay, so that was my fucking, that was my third question. So let's look at the state to try to find out a third question, trying to get to the bottom of this fucking mystery. Okay, here's the next question. In what month do we vote for president? Oh my fucking god with this shit. Really? Really, this is necessary information. This is necessary need to know. Right, that's about as stupid as saying, what month is my birthday? Right, because that fucking everyone's gonna know what the fuck your birthday is. Right, you're living in the same fucking house, you're going to talk about it, you're going to mention it, fucking Facebook is going to give you a fucking notification that, oh my god, it's that guy's birthday. But the president, who's going to fucking use all the taxpayer money in the fucking universe to get elected, put his face and name and bullshit message out to the fucking universe, you have to know when that is, because there's no possible way you could pick this up on the fly. That's like saying, what the fuck color is the leaf on the Canadian flag? What the fuck kind of need is that? I'll fucking Google it, boom, done. Apparently I now know this need-to-know information. For those of you who don't know that the fucking president, is elected in November, is lunacy, right? That you think you need to know that. This is not necessary information. You want to know, you want to know what fucking necessary information is? Don't fucking run into traffic, right? Don't fucking pull a gun on a motherfucker in the dead of night and expect him to react with a fucking smile on his face, right? That is necessary information. That's social skills. Knowing when to vote for the fucking president is as necessary as a fucking red leaf on a Canadian flag. What year was the first stitch put into the original fucking U.S. flag? This is just trivia. This isn't fucking trying to work out if this person is morally, philosophically, intellectually capable of surviving with us in our household. Right, so that's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. Alright, my fourth question. Are you a communist? Now this is, again, following in. Now I'm starting to break into economic leanings. I'm starting to try to feel out, their thoughts on societal you know, orchestration, you know, how people should go along to get along. Now, being an anarcho-capitalist as I am, I'm very individualist. I think people should forge whatever path non-violently that they should go. I mean, voluntarist virtues, man. But communists, on the other hand, oh my goodness, they get so wrapped up in this fucking idea that, first of all, society needs to orchestrate like this, right? Not like this or this or this, but this. There's no fucking room to negotiate. Every business needs to be a fucking co-op. Because why? I don't know. Right? Is it this idea that people in groups are smarter? Because I point to fucking democracy as a constant fucking failure to point that shit out. You know, is this idea that, you know, equal work for equal wage? Well, what about, you know, seniority? Who started the company? Who put in the real resources? Who worked hard? Right? And there's no merit in a fucking co-op. That's why I'm not a huge fan of them. Now, granted, on a small scale with your buddies, that's fine. Right, open a fucking comic book shop, but don't fucking tell me that a fucking factory that has a wealth of diversity in jobs has to be a fucking co-op where everyone makes the same. How the fuck is a factory worker working 8 hours gonna compare how much you know, work and effort they do compared to someone who drives a fucking truck to take the supplies out? It's just too varied. It's too big. Right, but fine. The other big problem I have with communists is this fucking economic leaning where everything is public property, which is fucking bullshit foundationally. Right? There is unclaimed property and there's private property. That's all the fuck there is to it. And of course, when you call the communists on this shit, you know, they say, oh no, all property is public except our bodies, which are property, which are objects we own. No, that's called personal property. Now, why wouldn't I want a motherfucker like this in my house? Because I don't use every bit of my property 24/7. I don't want to come home one day and have my house robbed because I wasn't using it at that moment and the communists thought it was all fucking up for grabs. Right? I don't want them to take my car. I don't want them to take my piano. I don't want them to take all this shit because they don't understand what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. So if this person was to answer they're a communist, get the fuck out of my house. Right? Go have your own fucking house. This shit's mine. Right? So that was my fourth question. Right? You know, are you a statist? You know, what's your thoughts on the NAP? You know, are you a feminist? Are you a communist? Now I'm trying to get a sense of the fucking individual here. But the state is just asking you bullshit trivia. That's all there is to it. So let's get started. Let's look at the fourth question the government may very well ask you before they will allow you to play with the other kids. Okay. Oh! Okay, this one's good. Okay. When is the last day you can send in federal income tax forms? Ah, now we get to it. I would not be at all fucking shocked if that one makes it on every single test, no matter how random this 100 list may fucking be. Right, okay, so what are they saying? Essentially, what are they saying? Hey man, you know, we're letting you live here. You gotta know when to pay your fucking rent. Right, that's what they're saying. And you know what? We could have some validity in this. Right, we really could. We could sit down and be like, you know what, I want to know if this motherfucker will pay his rent. Of course, what is taxation? Taxation is theft, right? Even if, let's assume the government worked out a deal with these immigrants, saying if you're going to live here, you're going to pay for these utilities and this and that and the other. But of course, that's not what the state does. The state says you're going to pay taxes. How much in taxes? We'll decide later. You know, taxes on what? We'll fucking decide later. You better hope to God we don't want to bring freedom to some fucking country you've never heard of, because oh my God, we will charge you out to the ass for that. Right now, normal people in relationships, we come up with rules, okay? There's fucking electricity, there's water, there's internet. You're going to fucking chip in on this. Now, if you don't want access to these things, that's fine. Right? I've known people who didn't use the internet, right? Didn't have to pay for the Wi-Fi, you know, the Wi-Fi. So, you know, they got some leeway on that. But the fucking state, oh my goodness, yes, that's going to be the question. When are you going to pay your fucking protection fee from your local gangster, the fucking IRS agent? Right? That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Okay, my question number 5. Do you support abortion? Now, I know what you guys are saying. Oh my God, he mentioned a hot button topic. That's the fucking point. I want to know how a motherfucker handles being asked the hard questions. Right? I mean, I don't care if the answer is yes or no so much as I want to know why their answer is yes or no. I want to know, is the answer, I'm pro-life because some fucking dude in a church told me that's the answer? Or am I pro-choice because my fucking women's studies teacher told me? No, I want to know yes or no based on what reasoning. What is your logic? right? So long as you are capable of listening to hot button issues and being fucking rational, odds are your answer is going to be fucking appropriate. But I'm not going to have some fucking bitch-ass lapdog of some perceived authority figures living there in my home. Why? Why is that? Because what happens when one day the fucking state decides old Mr. ANCAP's talked a little too much, and they send the men in blue over? Fucking my little roommate's going to answer the door and be like, oh, these guys don't have a warrant, but they said they have authority, so I just have to let them on in. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. They said, yeah, you've been smoking the marijuana, but they brought it in with them, and they seem to have planted it, but they're authority, so that's fine, man. That's totally fine. You know, I'm not having that shit. I'm not having that little bitch-ass rollover for whoever, you know, barks the loudest nonsense. So it's important to ask about the hard questions. Okay, so that's my number 5, right? Just to recap. Are you a statist? Do you support the NAP? You know, non-aggression principle. Are you a feminist? Are you a communist? You know, do you support abortion? So I'm getting a real fucking sense of this person. By halfway through, I should have a pretty solid fucking insight about the individual. Now, what is the state's question gonna be, right? What is the state gonna do to try to decide, you know, who fucking, you know, got dibs? Okay. All right. Here we go again. Here we go again. Okay, so now we're into the history section, because as we all know, you have to know the history of every fucking piece of land you've rented before you're allowed to live there. That's fucking beautiful. All right. So who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Again, with this bullshit trivia, right? I mean, that's about as stupid as saying who signed it the biggest. What the fuck does that matter to anything? Right? Imagine if you went to a fucking job interview and they said, who founded this business? What the fuck? I don't know. I came here because I'm good at fucking computer science, and I got the qualifications, I got the ambition. But, oh, I'm sorry, you're not hired because you didn't know some fuckwit's name who founded this company fucking 100 years ago. Right? You know, it's fucking maddening, this shit. Right? And for the record, it was Thomas Jefferson. So just to be clear, just so we know where we're at, the big questions the state has asked so far is how many amendments are there to the fucking Constitution, 27? You know, how many times does a senator get elected? You know, every 6 years. When do we vote for the president? Fucking in November. When do you pay your taxes? In fucking, like April 15th. You know, and now we get who fucking authored the fucking Declaration of Independence. That is fucking Thomas Jefferson. This is just trivia. Right? This is fucking bullshit. Is all this is. This is our parent, mind you. This is who people think should have a gun to protect us. The rest of us, God forbid, we protect ourselves. This is the one. This is the fucking Jeopardy player who's decided to go with our security, not our philosophers, not our moral people, not our vocal, you know, honest, ethical souls, but our fucking trivia game show hosts, right? That's who gets to fucking decide about our safety in terms of immigration, and that's one major reason this is sucky as a process. Now, we're only halfway through on this little questionnaire, and I don't feel any safer about Joe Blow across the street living from me than I do fucking anyone else, right? How many people of you would fail this test but are good, honest, moral people? Probably a whole fucking lot of you. Right? Raise your hand right now if you got tripped up on how many amendments there are to the fucking Constitution. I had to Google that shit. Right? I didn't know that off the top of my fucking head. This isn't necessary information. Right? This is fucking nonsense. Okay. So that's the first 5 questions the state has asked. But you know what? Maybe the next 5 are the good ones. Right? Maybe they've been slow burning us, leading us into trying to make the immigrants feel, you know, at peace, so they're not ready to lie. Okay, let's hear it out. Let's hear it out. So my next question, my 6th question to someone who's going to live in my fucking house with me, is thoughts on the war on drugs. Now, this is pretty fucking straightforward, isn't it? Right? What are the thoughts on the fucking war on drugs? Well, essentially, right? Essentially, it's immoral, right? It's wrong. It's an initiation of force. But for the sin of owning a plant, some poor bastard needs to be assaulted, kidnapped, thrown in a rape cage. So, you know, what are your thoughts on the war on drugs? If the answer is totally support it, get the fuck out of my house, you fucking psychopathic motherfucker. Right? It's very simple stuff. Okay, so what is the, and I'm pretty sure I'm in good company on that little questionnaire. Right? So I thought I'd throw someone an easy one with that war on drugs thing, but let's look at for the state's number 6. Right? Okay. What territory did the United States buy from France in 1803? Oh my goodness. Again, right? So now you don't even have to know the history of the land you're renting on. You have to know the purchases made by your landowner. Right? What gas station did I buy these fucking donuts from is essentially this fucking question, and that's how moronic it is. right? So now you have to know the purchasing history of your fucking landlord. You have to know the history of what you're renting. You gotta know a whole bunch of fucking bullshit. And well, who feels safer, right? How many of you know about the Louisiana Purchase? You know, we bought this fucking huge chunk of fucking land from France, right? Is that necessary information to live with your fellow human being? No, the fuck it ain't. Okay, there's no value here. Unless you want to be a historian, which granted, go fucking learn that shit. This is not necessary information to live on a fucking plot of land. Right, I hope I'm never stranded on a fucking desert island, because all I'm learning is I better know that island's fucking trivia, or I'm gonna fucking die. A little troll is gonna jump on the fucking island and be like, answer my riddles 3. You know, it's fucking bullshit with this nonsense, man. Okay, my 7th question, now I'm starting to get a little deep with these motherfuckers, is thoughts on spanking. Now, I am a peaceful parent advocate. I don't want a fucking child to be hit any more than I would want someone's spouse to be abused. Right? I mean, if smacking your wife to get her to behave is not acceptable, then how the fuck is it going to be acceptable for a little child who don't know fucking anything from anything, is as innocent as the fucking driven snow? Right? This is fucking moronic. This is silliness. Right? This is silliness. So, as an advocate for peaceful parenting, you know, non-aggression principle, all that shit, I'm not going to have a motherfucker come in my house, especially if I have a fucking wife, kids, and one redheaded fucking stepchild that won't get the fuck on out. Are you gonna hit my kids? Essentially, what are your thoughts on violence? If I don't fucking watch you 24/7, is there gonna be violence initiated? Right? And if they fucking like, oh well, my parents spanked me and I'm okay, get the fuck out of my house. Okay, that's like fucking saying Nazi Germany was okay because my parents weren't fucking thrown in a fucking Auschwitz. Right? This is silliness. This is silliness. So fuck that. Yeah, spanking better be a fucking no. You do not support spanking. Alright, so that's my 7th question, right? And I'm starting to fucking feel this person out. If they've passed all the questions by now, odds are the rest of them are just going to fall right into fucking place. But where are we at right now after we've done 6 questions for the state? We got fucking nowhere. We don't know anything about the morality of this individual, right? We know they watch a bit of Jeopardy, maybe they've read a fucking U.S. history book, but not much fucking else. Right? Is this person going to murder me in the dead of night? Is that what I have to worry about? Well, thank God they knew about the Louisiana Purchase, because I'd hate to be murdered by someone who thought, you know, we purchased fucking Texas from France or some other bullshit like that. But let's look at this. All right. So next question, question 7, by the way. Okay. All right, I like this. Okay, I like. Okay. Okay. Who was president during World War I? This is just all these questions are just fucking moronic, right? First off, this requires you to know what fucking year fucking World War I happened, and then you gotta look for the president, and then you gotta know all this, right? You gotta know, which is silly, right? That's like me saying, you know, which war did my grandpappy fight in, right? Was it Vietnam? Was it World War II? Ooh, trivia. You know, this is fucking moronic. Right, I think we can all agree so far that fucking 7 out of 7 of these questions have not made me feel any bit fucking safer about motherfucker living next door. Right? The answer is Woodrow Wilson, by the way. I know apparently that's need-to-know information. That's information that will determine whether or not you're fucking fit to live amongst your citizens, your fellows. But I want you to know for your own safety. Right? Apparently that's the safe word. When someone comes to murder you in the dead of night, be like, oh, Woodrow Wilson! Whoa. Okay, man, that's a safe word. I get it. I understand. All right. So my 8th question is thoughts on gun ownership. Right now, this is pretty important, I think. Right, this one is a pretty big deal. Now, why is that? Well, it's because guns are important not only for individual safety against individual fellows, but of security against the state. Now, I don't believe that the citizenry could win against the state in an actual war. Now, hold on before you freak out. Right, I'm not saying the state will win either. I'm saying this is a zero-sum game, but the fact that that exists is what keeps the state from killing you. If fighting the citizens is going to cause the state to lose, the state ain't going to fight you. It's going to use legality, it's going to do roundabout bullshit to try to fuck you over. It will inevitably try to disarm you when it decides it does want to curb stomp your face right in the fucking ground. But having the guns does protect against individual fellows, and it does protect against the fucking wrath of the state. So this is very important. What are their thoughts on gun ownership? Me personally, you want to know my fucking thoughts on gun ownership? I think people should be able to own whatever fucking shit they can afford. Abso-fucking-lutely, up to and including nuclear missiles. 100%. I would link you to a buddy of mine named, you know, Lengthy, you and Arthur. You know, he's a fucking astounding guy. He does all kinds of gun shit. I don't know how fucking this shit works, but, you know, go check him out. He's awesome, but he covers the same shit. Right? Gun ownership, very important. So if a motherfucker's gonna be like, I don't support guns because they cause murder, then get the fuck out of my fucking house. Go to a gun-free zone. No bad shit ever happens there. Right? I mean, it's written on a piece of paper that you're gonna be protected. So go right the fuck on. Absolutely 100%. Alright, so that's my 8th question. Right? So if my motherfucker is still standing, odds are they're at the finish line. Right? They're right fucking there. But okay. So now we get the 8th question from the state, and this is beautiful. This really is beautiful. Okay. Which one's a really good one? Okay. Name one of the 2 longest rivers in the United States. That's right, motherfuckers. We've moved on from history, and we have found ourselves squarely in the realms of fucking geography. That's right. Okay, yeah, we're in geography now. So not only does a motherfucker need to know the history of the United States, he needs to know how long our fucking rivers are. Right? He needs to know which ones are the longest, which are the shortest, which are the deepest, which are the shallowest, because that's what's important. Right? It's not similar ideals. It's not, you know, complementary ideologies that affect how people get along. No, it's how well they know their fucking geography. Right? Absolutely 100%. I mean, I love it. Mississippi and Missouri is the answer, by the way, of one of the 2 longest rivers, by the way. These are the 2 longest. Right? But that's the necessary information, right? I mean, maybe I'm just too hard. Right? When I invite strangers into my fucking home to stay with my kids, I should be asking them these types of questions. You know, what month do we vote for the president? November. Thank you, axe-murdering psychopath. You come on in. You're clearly misunderstood. Right? That's the fucking state's assessment of these immigration advocates. Right? These people coming in. That's the criteria. Now, my number 9 is thoughts on capitalism. So by now, if they've made it down the list, I've whittled them down to pretty much being capitalistic and leaning. Maybe not ANCAPs like the rest of us, surely, but certainly capitalistic with a lot of shit. I mean, I've cut out communism, for God's sake. So what the fuck else are they gonna run to, right? So if the answer is no, then I'm gonna be very fucking confused. They're gonna cause me to have to sit them the fuck down and edit my list. But odds are the answer is yes, and it should be yes. I do want people who recognize bodily autonomy, because it's the autonomy of all property rights. You know, I want someone who's going to come in and be like, look, what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine. This is, I understand, I'm on board, man. I'm on board. NAP. Right? That's what I would want. And someone who's a capitalist, whether they know it or not, is a non-aggressionist by their own very nature. Right? Because of the recognition of private property. Right? So that's my number 9. Right? So let's just round this out. I think we've all agreed that that these questions are bullshit. Right, here's one of them. What is the name of the national anthem? So not only do you have to know the name of it, you probably have to be able to sing it. Right, that's probably another question. Sing the fucking national anthem. Sing to your slavery. Sing the hymn to your sleeping God of the state so that he doesn't destroy you. That's essentially all they're asking. Right, and the last question is when do we celebrate Independence Day? See, this is the bullshit questions the state asks to assess immigration worthiness. Right, nothing moral, nothing just, nothing at all, just bullshit trivia after bullshit trivia. Now, what's the last question on my list? I'm not going to put on any platitudes. I'm not going to say it's the best question in the world, because it's not. The last question on my list is thoughts on the last third of the movie Frozen. That's it. I couldn't think of a good 10th. All right, if they've made it through those first 9, they're pretty much fucking here to go. But I didn't like the last third of Frozen, and so I'm like, maybe me and this person have similar movie tastes. Maybe we'll be hanging out. Right? I don't need to hang out. So long as I don't have to worry about you, fine. You can sleep on my fucking couch. I don't give a fuck. Right? But yeah, so that was my last one. See, I'm big enough to own up to when I throw out a bullshit question. Right? But the state does nothing but bullshit questions. The only legitimate question I saw them ask was about taxes. But we know that's not anything other than wanting to know when to have that money to fucking extort. Right? That's all that is. So now that we've broken the bullshit about how sucky the fucking state is, let's talk about the unforeseen consequences, because we can all ponder the scene, right? Immigration, it can keep good people out and let bad people in. We see this through the bureaucracy. We see this through the bullshit fucking test the immigrants have to go through in order to qualify to stay here forever. But the unforeseen consequence is the damage it does to traveling, to international affairs. Right now, it's not substantial yet, but it's certainly heading in that direction. Now, why is that? Well, first off, if you want to go to, like, England, right, you want to go to fucking Canada, you want to go fucking wherever, right, you got to get a passport, you got to get all this documentation. That takes time, it takes energy, sometimes it takes money, right, but that's just to get the documents. And then if you want to get on a plane, because it's the quickest, most efficient form of travel, what do you got to do? Well, what you got to do is you have to fucking, go to the airport hours early, right? You have to go through the long lines and the agitated conditions. Then you have to meet the TSA, which, you know, is just molestation waiting to happen. And you pray to God. You pray to science. You pray to somebody that discussion doesn't end with you having to go off by yourself to a back fucking room to get your ass kicked, raped, and robbed. And then you hope you make it on your flight on time after having to go through the humiliation. Now, does any of that sound appealing to you? Does any of that? TSA's bullshit, by the way. I'm sorry, it's not going to protect you. Right, I showed an image of this poor fucking chick, you know, who got strip searched, and down to underwear, but still, because of terrorism. There was so much terrorism. Tell me that doesn't throw people off. And this is only the beginning. Only the fucking beginning. Once we start having to have people get fucking their blood drawn, their DNA taken, it'll keep going up when the state wants to control and regulate to the point where people will be too afraid to move. Where international travel will be stifled to the point where the state's going to decide if this worked internationally, this will work nationally. And it'll be state by state. It'll be county by county. It'll be town by town. Pretty soon you won't be able to fucking go anywhere without prior approval. Where are your papers, sir, is going to be the new situation. So that's a lot of my thoughts on immigration. That's a lot of my take on the bullshit that comes with the state foundationally. Right, and there's some other stuff I suppose I could talk about. I got a few minutes here. Okay, like another thing is the fact that, you know, people talk about we want to build a wall, right, at fucking Mexico. You know, we want to build this giant fucking thing to keep the Mexican immigrants out. Now, first off, what do we want to look at here? If it's the state, what do we know about this wall? Well, we know it's going to be bullshit. It's going to be built poorly. It's going to be built not to last, and it's going to be easily subverted by, you know, private individuals who want to get the fuck across. Right, and what do we find? That's exactly what the fuck happens. Not only is there really no real fence there, right, you know, you can fucking run past it if you're willing to go round and about, but even when you come across the fence, it ain't easy to fucking take that shit apart. Go over, go under, go through, you can fucking do it. Right, so this is bullshit. And plus, I think it was Ron Paul who said, or somebody, fucking smarty pants, said that, you know, any gates, any wall, whatever, that can keep people out can trap people in, and that's a fucking fact of existence, my friends. Another reason I don't very much like immigration is the fact that it's just another reason for the fucking the prison industrial complex to get more bodies. Right? Because, you know, if you come over illegally, right, there are plenty of people in federal prison right now because they're immigrants. Right? They came here illegally. Now that's fucking bullshit, right? What did they do? Not a goddamn thing. They came from one plot of land, came to another, initiated force against no one, and now they find themselves fucking locked up in a rape cage. Right? This is foolishness. This is tomfoolery. Right? Now, as a moral society, we should not be supporting this. Right? This idea of immigration. Certainly not. Let's assume we're amoral. We shouldn't be stupid enough to say that we are against, we are pro-immigration in a society filled to the fucking brim with immigrants. Right? It's silliness. It is silliness. Right? If you had wanted to keep America pure, nobody would have showed up. Not the Europeans, not the Spaniards, not the American Indians. Everyone would have kept the fuck out. But we all came here because we were all seeking the same thing. Right? We were seeking adventure. We were seeking new wealth, new opportunities for ourselves. We were seeking. And that's all the immigrants of today are doing. That's all the fucking it is. Oh, but no, the state convinces people that, you know, we need to keep immigrants out because they're villains. Right? Who are these villains? Who are these monsters that we want to keep out? Well, we want to keep out the drug people, right? The drug cartels. They're only monsters because of the the war on drugs the state is doing. And that, boom, monsters disappear. Much like with fucking organized crime. It came into existence because of alcohol prohibition. Deal with that, boom. You're not worried about fucking alcohol-fueled villains anymore. Now, granted, organized crime still does exist, and I guarantee if we legalized fucking drugs tomorrow, cartels would still exist. Once you create empires, they very rarely just disintegrate, but they do lose power from where they once were. And these are just consequences of the state. And of course, people will bring up terrorism. right? They'll say, oh my God, we need to protect ourselves from the immigrants because immigrants are terrorists. Well, why do people want to terrorize you, right? If everyone on the playground is afraid of you, you know, if people throw rocks at you, maybe we should ask ourselves once in a while, hey, what did we do wrong? What is our oh, we bombed their children into submission, right? We take the land they view as sacred, which to me would be all land that ain't fucking theirs, but whatever. You know, we're doing action. So again, this whole idea we got to protect ourselves is just from the consequences of our own actions. I guarantee the fucking Pakistanis who are getting drone striked, watching their friends, family, and loved ones die, would like to do some fucking immigration on U.S. everything. U.S. drones, U.S. soldiers, U.S. contractors, but get the fuck out. Do we not agree to that request? Of course not, because we are above them. Why? Because we are the state, and we have money and power, and blah, blah, fucking blah. So that's it. That's pretty much all I got on immigration as of today. You know, got a few minutes here. Let's. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. You know, in the comment sections. You know, on the videos. You know, what did you think of me talking about immigration? What do you think of the show's format? What are your ideas for next week's show? You know, things like that. Like, I'll talk about pretty much fucking anything. You know, the state sucks. It doesn't just have to be about direct actions the state is doing, but it can also be about the society the state props up, the injustices that only really exist socially because of the gun of the state, be it directly or indirectly through legislation or otherwise. Right? So I'm big on that. Right? I'm here for you guys. Right? Team us. Here at Voluntarist, sorry about that. Hold on. You know, here at Voluntarist Virtues, you know, we are here for you. We have the viewpoint of voluntarists on this network, and we care. And of course, your buddy, Mr. ANCAP, is here to explain to you the common sense of reality of how the state sucks, of how it is bullshit, and how our lives, past, present, and future, suffer from it. So please comment below. Tell Michael Shanklin, you know, you're enjoying the consecutive, you know, shows, the viewpoints, the arguments, and you know what, guys, have a fucking fantastic day. I do want you to think about the immigration, though. I want you to ponder it. I want you to think about it. Be like, what are other things about immigration that I didn't bring up that you could bring to the table, right? Because immigration, fucking, the state is bullshit about it, right? Draws a line in the sand because, fuck it. Right, and this, I didn't even bring up the fact that, you know, the state owns land that isn't just U.S., right? It's not just the United States. You got shit like Puerto Rico that we just call dibs on, right? Oh, it's ours, and shit like that. So, so that's very important. That's very important. I'd love to, if you guys know about this, by the way, put a comment. I'm gonna go Googling. But do you need all the same bullshit? Let's say I'm Mexican. Let's say I'm a Mexican citizen. I want to go to fucking Puerto Rico. Right, do I need the same bullshit as I do if I want to go to fucking Texas or Arizona or New Mexico or any shit like that? Do I need to go through the same process, or is Puerto Rico treated differently? Right, that'd be a great fucking thing, because it would only further show the hypocrisy of not only the state, but of the bullshit of the policies as a whole. Right, so okay, so that's my show, guys. I hope you guys will take care. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you later.